All right, welcome everybody. This is Lance, Luke, and Martin Pea, um, National Building Expert, Ask the Building Expert webinar series. And we have an interesting topic today that we're going to be talking about. Let me go right to it here. So I manage a construction inspection, construction management company out of Honolulu, Hawaii. And that company is the one that's producing all these webinars. So that's just our 2-second commercial, construction management inspection. And let's go right to it. Oh, but before we start talking about it, it's actually some national days today. So it's National Mimosa Day, also National Drawing Day, and National Barbecue Day. So I'm thinking, if you're going to have a barbecue, you may want to get a mimosa, and then you can celebrate those two things. So anyway, condo lawsuits, there's trouble in paradise. Have you guys ever heard of like condo associations getting sued or suing other people? It's getting more and more prevalent as we speak. And it's pretty common that condominium buildings, there's more and more of them, and a lot of buildings that are built today are condo buildings as opposed to apartment buildings, and just regular single family houses, because that's the market. And I'm going to be talking about, although there's different condo lawsuits, I'm going to be talking about specific lawsuits regarding condo unit owners suing their condo board and association and property management company. So the condo lawsuits that we're basically familiar are like, you have a newly built building and there's defects, construction defects. So the condo association ends up suing the real estate developer and contractor. Okay, that's one type. For instance, I was an expert on a condo building in Kaka'ako called Ko'olani, and I listed down a whole bunch of defects, pages and pages of them, and I came up with a $15 million cost to correct. And that litigation actually ended up going through mediation and arbitration, and the end result was there was a settlement for 12.5 million. So that's a typical condo lawsuit where the condo association sues the real estate developer. Okay, that's one. Now, another type is, let's say you have a condo and a contractor was hired to fix the roof or concrete spalling or electrical, plumbing, or whatever the situation is, and they didn't do a good job. And there was leaks, plumbing leaks or roof leaks and all that. And there was a conflict and it never got settled. So in that case, in that situation, the condo association ends up suing the contractor. Okay, that's another type. Another type is you have a condo unit that's rented out to a tenant, and there's problems with the building, like water leaks or things like that, and the tenant ends up suing the owner of the unit and also the condo association. Okay, now, is that a good thing? Well, it's never a good thing to get involved in a lawsuit or to be sued or to sue. And that's a situation where it's a landlord-tenant issue, but it gets carried over to the condo association. And it also could be a pet thing where the tenant moved in and they had a pet, and later on the owner got a citation and said, the citation said, this is no pet building, and you gotta evict your tenant. And then the tenant provides some paperwork that said, they have a service animal or service dog or whatever you want to call it. And so that becomes an issue. Then there's other situations like that, or you have another condo type lawsuit where a visitor comes in to the property, and he parks his car and he starts walking to the building, and he falls or trips because of a pothole and he breaks his ankle. Then he in turn sues the condo association for failure to maintain the premises. Um, and he wants all his medical bills paid and all that. So these are different types of condo lawsuits, but today I'm going to be talking about specific lawsuit where a condo unit owner is suing their condo board specifically. So let's look at this graph that I have. So the current statistics are more and more lawsuits by condo unit owners. Why? Well, because these people are getting fed up. These condo unit owners have taken a lot of waiting and hearing a lot of excuses, or maybe condo board members are saying, all right, we'll look into this, we'll get it fixed, or well, it's not really a problem, or we don't have money to fix it. So, just kind of take care of it on your own, or whatever the excuse is, right? Generally, the excuses that are given are a bunch of BS. It's not true. Well, in a case of they don't have money, it may be true, but not in a situation where there's nothing wrong, or you're just complaining too much and things like that. So, and it happens, and it's getting worse and worse. And I'm going to be talking about cases right now. Unfortunately, the cases that I'm working on as an expert witness, I cannot give you the details, like the name of the building and all that. But in general, I can tell you what the case is about. So here's a situation where there's a building in Waikiki, and the roof leaks, and it's been leaking for several years. And the condo board, or one of the condo board members, is telling the unit owner there's no leak, and it's becoming a problem. Now, the caveat is, if you're a condo board member, you cannot go in and act like you're the building expert. You cannot go into a unit and look and just say, oh, there's no leak, or there's nothing wrong, or, well, I guess there is a leak, but we'll have our maintenance guy go up there and find the leak and patch it. Okay, now listen to this. You have a multi-million-dollar condo building that you're living in, or you manage, or let's say you're a realtor. Okay, do you think that it's acceptable to have your maintenance guy, who's not a licensed roofer, go up on the roof and patch the roof? Already, that's like not a good thing, right? So it's no wonder condo unit owners sue, because they're not getting any relief. To have a roof leak or a window leaking, and it's like everybody either ignores the problem, hoping it's going to go away, or they actually have the audacity to tell the unit owner there's no leak, right? How do they know? Did they hire an expert to determine whether there in fact is not a leak? And that's what you should do. So board members should actually hire experts, because if they don't, they're gonna be looking like they're the expert, right? And in court, or in a deposition, the opposing attorney is going to say, what is your background, Mr. Board Member, Mrs. Board Member? Are you an engineer? Do you know anything about buildings? Do you know even how a roof is constructed? Do you know how to determine the elements of a roof leak? And if the answer is no, 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 and no, then it's like they didn't do the right thing. So the objective is you got to hire experts. You got to back up yourself. If you're going to say there's no leak, make sure you present a report from a roofing contractor that says they inspected the roof and there's no leak. Okay, or do a roof leak test or something like that. Okay, so that's the reason why there's more lawsuits, because the board members are not being proactive about that situation. And I'm not talking about every single board member. This is a minority, but it happens in real life. Okay. The story of the broken sewer pipe. We have an Ala Moana condo, and because this case is settled, I can tell you the name of the condo is Sunset Towers, and they did repiping, but initially when they repiped, they only fixed certain pipes and not all of the pipes in the building. And there was a pipe leak that caused over $1 million of damages in one commercial unit. And this is a situation of failure of the board to properly fix components in the building in a timely manner. To top it off, they had mold and asbestos issues that were combined with the leak problem, okay, the water damage problem. So there's a Hawaii Kai townhouse, and what happened was there was a wastewater plumbing leak that eventually got resolved. And during construction, I went in there to make sure that there was no moisture before they closed the walls up. This is, under repair. And there was moisture on the foundation coming through the concrete slab. So it was not caused by a plumbing leak. I determined that it was caused by a drainage problem because the planter area in front of the unit was sloped improperly, and every time it rained, water would collect and actually go under the concrete slab foundation, and then the water would actually wick up into the wall. So it was a landscaping and drainage problem that the board neglected to fix, and hopefully it's being fixed now, but I'm not sure. I need to find out what the status is. Okay, there was a Makiki condo, and this is a current ongoing litigation case that has not been resolved, so I can't mention the name of the condo, but there was a fire that damaged the unit. Now, the fire started in the unit below this unit, but when the firefighters came to put it out, this unit ended up with a whole bunch of water damage, to put out the fire. And it's been like over a year now, and the unit hasn't been restored yet. So the unit owner ended up suing the board and the management company and everyone else down the line that had anything to do with the unit. And this is a situation where it should have been avoided. I think when insurance companies get involved, they don't move in a timely manner, and then the unit owner suffers and he's wondering what happened, right? Sometimes there's like two insurance companies involved and they can't agree on anything, and then nothing gets done. And then we got some other problems, like there was a Waikiki condo building that had problems, and there was some litigation. I worked on a building in Hawaii Kai. Well, I was called in as an expert witness because the buyer of the unit got a complaint because the unit owner downstairs complained about the noise. And it had to do with flooring. And what happened was the seller said that they got approval, and they did get approval from the association, but there was still an issue. I think the association was wrong in approving the flooring, so that buyer ended up suing the seller and the condo association. Okay, eventually that got resolved. And then we have a building in Ala Moana that's experiencing rattling sounds from pipes and then some kind of noise from the window. And this is not a lawsuit, but it's a situation where it's not resolved yet. And so there's other cases. There was this big case in Molokai, Keinani Kai, that what happened was, in the situation that got to be a litigation case, is the board hired an unlicensed contractor who apparently had some criminal things on his record or something. So anyway, the board, resident manager, property manager, all ganged up on these unit owners that complained about it. And it got so bad where there was allegations of abuse of power, because the board basically is running the show, harassment, retaliation, and it settled in 2012. And this is a landmark case because it proved that a unit owner or owners can actually sue your condo board and win if you can prove a lot of things that they were alleging. Okay, so through the whole history of that case, it was proven that in fact there was retaliation, there was harassment, and there was a violation of the condo law in Hawaii. So if you can prove that there's violations of the condo law, that's good, right, for your case. Unfortunately, the board members weren't aware of the law, or maybe they were but chose not to follow it. So that becomes a big problem. Okay, there's a recent case that just got settled in court involving the Hokua building, and the allegations were abuse of power, harassment, retaliation. And because the case got settled, we don't have any case law or anything. It was a jury trial, but it goes on. Okay, and there's probably going to be more. Now, remember several years ago there was a Florida building collapse. Okay, what was that due to? Okay, and the situation is that they had a reserve study done, and the reserve study showed that they needed about $15 million of repairs. And the board, because there was no money, nobody really did anything. Okay, they had studies done, but that's about it. So that's a situation where the board is negligent because they didn't take any action to fix the problem. Also, if you're a condo owner, realtor, or a condo board member, or you're just interested in the topic, there's what's called a reserve study, which is a financial plan to fix, repair, and maintain and fix different components in the building. That's the document that's very key to property management and maintaining the value of the property. If that reserve study is correct and it's not followed, then already that's a board issue. And when it comes down to maintaining property, and there's condo lawsuits because unit owners are complaining because certain things aren't being fixed, they can pull out the reserve study and say, look, it's in the reserve study to have this thing fixed, and it should have been fixed years ago. So the board is not looking good at that point. Now, there's a situation where it could be not even listed in the reserve study. Okay. And that still could be a problem. But let's take, for instance, a situation of the roof leaking. Okay. Now, if you look at the reserve study and the roof should have been repaired 5 years ago, already the board is not looking too good because they failed to fix the roof when they should have. And they just keep on kicking the can down the road. Okay. So in and whenever you have water leaks, like a roof or water coming in through the windows, the failed caulking and all that, if you have drywall, guess what? The four-letter word is mold. You could have mold growing now, coming from the roof, drywall on your ceiling, water going on your walls, mold growing. There's a building in the Kaka'ako downtown area, and it's a combination of senior housing and condo association. It's like a hybrid, and there's leaks coming from drain pipes. We're not sure if it's like coming from a sewer drain pipe or a rainwater pipe. Okay, but I've seen photos where there's mold growing on the ceiling and it's been there for years. So these kind of situations, they're not that good. So there's talking about reserve study and also what the board needs to do, the proper way of doing things. There's in Hawaii, and I know there's people on this webinar that are not from Hawaii, but whatever state you're in, okay, there's a condo law that needs to be followed. And in Hawaii, the condo law is HRS 514B. Along with the condo declaration, it's very clear as to what the duties are for board members, okay, as far as fixing their building. And a lot of times these lawsuits are because the buildings aren't being fixed, right? So this Waikiki condo building that I have listed here, that's an ongoing lawsuit regarding a noise situation where a tenant is complaining about noise, and the tenant's related to the owner, and it's been going on, and no one wants to figure out what the problem is, I guess. So that's the reason why there's a lawsuit. But board members have a duty to do the right thing. And there's a legal term called fiduciary duty. And what that means is that as a board member, the fiduciary duty is they must act in good faith and in the best interest of the condo association, consistent with the duty of loyalty, exercising the same degree of care and skill in making decisions or taking actions that would be expected of an ordinary, prudent person in a similar situation. Now, that's a quote from the actual law. What does that mean? That means that a board member has a duty to basically do the right thing or do what's proper, right? To protect the association and the board. Now, in all these lawsuits, is the board or board member acting in good faith when they go in and say there's no roof leak or stop complaining, or the person that complains or actually files a lawsuit, then they get retaliated on from the board, and now they're looking like the bad guy. So that's not a good thing. So as board members, and even if you're not on the board, if you're a realtor or you're a condo owner, just be aware, okay? One of the number one things of failure of boards is lack of communication. Sometimes there's lawsuits because the unit owners say, I don't know anything. The board doesn't tell me anything. I don't know what's going on. And so that's why I'm suing, because they're not giving me a copy of the meeting minutes or a copy of this or that. And they're slow to respond, and they're not willing to cooperate. Okay, so the other mistakes is that you got one or two board members that are power hungry. They're like dictators, and they're running the board like, they're the, although they could be the president, they're running it like a dictator. And that's not right. Every unit owner has a voice. Every unit owner is entitled to go to a board meeting and raise the issue, right? And not get slammed where, well, here's an owner's forum. We're only giving you 2 minutes to talk. And then that's it. They cut them off and they can't talk anymore through the whole board meeting. So that's not how to run an efficient board meeting. The other thing is that some board members get impatient with people when they keep complaining about stuff. They're like, stop telling me about your leak or whatever. You told me that 6 months ago, and I told you we're looking into it and we're going to get it fixed. Well, how long does it take to look into something? And how long does it take to get something fixed? I understand if it's an elevator that broke down and you can't get the parts. Okay, that's acceptable. But if you have a roof leak or leaking window, shouldn't it be easy to get somebody to take a look at it, determine what the cause, and try to schedule to get it fixed? That's the problem. Board members are saying, well, we don't know what to do. We don't have any money. The other thing is, when the board takes a vote, the board should be obligated to explain the vote if it's a no vote. Okay. You gotta be in communication. Don't hold any grudges. And then you have to realize that when you're running a condo board, you got to treat it like a business. You're running a business here. It's not like it's your own house and you got somebody complaining and you're going, wow, I'm the board president or vice president or whatever position is. We tell you what to do. You don't tell us what to do, kind of thing, right? So I always encourage unit owners to go to board meetings, attend board meetings, be proactive, maybe run for the board, okay? Or send letters to the board, to the management company, and keep doing it. And a lot of times when I'm talking to clients who are interested in suing, and I said, where's your paperwork you need? Oh, well, I kept calling them and they don't have any dates, times they called, and they have a leak or some electrical problem, and they don't have anything in writing. I said, you got to start putting things in writing and send it off in a letter, email, write a letter, send it certified mail, attend the board meetings, right? If the association has like a newsletter, or they're on town square or something like that, go on there and start typing in, what your complaint is and all that. So there's things that should be done that aren't getting done. And some of these lawsuits, I can't believe they're not even resolved, because it doesn't make sense to me. And all it takes is for the condo board to take action and say, we need to fix this problem. Now, let me tell you this, that when you hear a board member or the board saying, we cannot fix it because we don't have any money, that's unacceptable. Why? Because the law, in the condo law, there's no exemption for saying, if the condo association doesn't have any money, they don't have to fix the building. There's nothing like that. It's the opposite. That says you, board, are obligated to maintain the property. What does that mean, maintaining the property? That means fixing a roof leak, a window leak, electrical, plumbing, potholes in the asphalt, whatever the situation is. Okay, that's law. It's legal. You cannot decide, well, you know what, we don't have money, so we're not going to follow the law. That doesn't cut it, because in litigation case, these boards are going to lose all the time because all the other side got to do is present the law and say, here's what the law says. HRS 514B, this section says the board has a duty to maintain the property. My roof's been leaking for 3 years now and nothing's been done. Okay, so it just gets worse and worse over time. And I think it's because the board members don't understand what the law is. They don't understand their condo docs. If they would read their bylaws and their declaration and house rules, it's all in there, but they choose not to follow it maybe. Or they say, well, we didn't know that was there. Well, hello, if you're going to be on the board, I think you should be cognizant of what your duties are, right? So every board member, no matter what position, should know what the duties are, but it doesn't matter if there's a unit owner complaining about a leak or some rattling sounds or whatever. Doesn't matter what position. If you're a treasurer, secretary, you're a board member, you're a director, bring it up to the board and say, hey, we have this unit owner that has this problem. What are we going to do about it? And investigate it and come to a decision like, this is common noise, so we're not going to do anything. Or it shouldn't be like that. So let's hire somebody, a building expert, to investigate and see what the problem is, right? If the problem is normal, then you can go back to the unit owner and say, it's normal, sorry, but you just have to live with it. Or if it's not, here's the steps that we're going to take to resolve this problem, and communicate. Don't just ignore them and say, well, they're just constant complainer all the time, complaining about everything, making us look bad, right? So that's probably it. So the conclusion that I have today is, if you're on a condo board, know what your duties are, read the condo law, okay? Read the condo law and understand it and follow it. If you're not from Hawaii, read whatever your state condo law is. If you're a realtor or a condo unit owner, read the law too and understand. And that way you're armed with the ammunition. You can go to a board meeting or write a letter to the condo board president and management company saying, according to HRS 514B, this section, it states that you have to maintain our building. You have not been living up to or following the law because blah, blah, blah. This is not fixed. This is not fixed. I brought it up. What are you going to do about it? I want to know what steps you're going to take to resolve the problem, if there is a problem. Okay. If they determine that there isn't a problem, okay, at least they know. But you know how many condo unit owners are like not happy with what's going on with their board? I get complaints all the time. And I ask why, and they go, well, what should we do? And I tell them the same thing. Go to the board meeting, write letters, you be the squeaky wheel, because eventually something's going to get done. Now, what you missed, we've given a whole bunch of webinars on building and construction topics. You go to our website, and I'm not going to read you the list of what we have, but if you go to our website, then you can pick and choose what topics you're interested in. We got a whole bunch there. And then what's coming up? We got some next webinars. We're talking about construction. Okay, types of stages of construction, types of construction. We're talking about the real estate development project, and then water damage, flood remediation. We're doing one webinar on construction defect litigation cases. This is all only for construction defects, and we got one on real estate seller disclosure. And then there's a whole bunch of other ones specific to Hawaii. We got one on Aloha Stadium and another one on two other ones, the rail and Red Hill. And those are pretty much kind of like top of mind topics. So visit our website, askbuildingexpert.now.site. We have the listing of all the webinars that we've given that you can watch on demand. And then we also have the listing of webinars that we have planned for the rest of the year. And they're all up there on our website, and you can register to attend the webinar. And if you cannot attend because you have a conflict in your schedule, still register, because when you register, our system will automatically send you a copy of the video. Okay, so you see how easy it is. And then also, if you want free books, you go to our website, and we have a bunch of books there that you can download. It's ebooks that you can download for free. We also have a awesome book club that you can sign up, and the book club is you get a free book on building or construction, whatever topic that I write about. Every month you'll get in your email inbox the ebook that you can read or share with other people, and that's free also. So we're generous people. We like to help the situation, because every time I ask Martin, shouldn't we be like making money selling, selling these books? He goes, no, this is not about money. This is about helping people. And anyway, don't you have the books on sale at Amazon? I go, yeah, correct. So if you don't want to like get the ebook free and you want to actually purchase the book, you can go to Amazon and $14.95 and buy the book. And that is fine with me. You can get it free or you can buy it. A lot of people, they're Chinese like me. They always like free stuff. So that's probably why we do that. So anyway, I think that's the end. Yeah. So you got questions, I got answers. This is Lance Luke, my number 422-2132. You got to use 808 though. And if you want to email me, lanceluke@hawaiibuildingexpert.com, and I answer all emails. It might take me a while to get to it, but I personally answer all the emails. Ask whatever questions you want that come up, or if you have an idea for a future webinar topic, bring it on. We'll be happy to consider it. But for this specific topic, I want to open it up now to see if we have any questions that I can help answer. So Martin, are you around?
I'm around. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've had a few questions that some came in earlier and some popping up here also on our site. So let me hit the first one here. What are the most common types of legal disputes that arise in condo communities? You covered a lot, but is there anything else?
Anybody can sue anybody for anything. And so it's a whole wide range, but I think the reason for the condo lawsuits that I discuss is because it's a lack of communication, and the unit owners are getting fed up, and they're forced to sue because they're not getting any relief. Once that happens, see, people, it's human nature. You don't automatically go, I'm just going to sue you, right? You kind of wait and see if you give other people a chance to have the problem fixed. But when they're not getting any answers, right, nothing's happening, then they're forced to go hire an attorney and to sue. So by then it's like broken communication already. Okay, so I think the object is just communicate as much as you can. Board members, please just keep it open and communicate and let the people know what's going on. And there's a lot of lawsuits can be avoided if you just do the right thing. You take action and all that. So what else we got? I think you're muted, Martin. Hey, Martin, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I got muted here. We have one on Zoom here. They're asking, to be financially responsible, how does the board raise the maintenance fees and avoid the lawsuits? Ooh, tough one.
Okay, so let's go back. let's go back to the reserve study. The reserve study is a financial plan that's going to dictate, right, your components and when they need to be repaired or replaced. So you combine your reserve study and you look at your reserve budget and you look at your operating budget, right? And you figure on, usually the reserve study would tell you how much money you need for contribution. So I don't, but the majority of reserve studies that I've seen is not correct. Or if it is correct, the board says, hey, we're not going to raise our maintenance fee 15% according to the reserve study. We don't have, we can't do that to the unit owners. So then they agree they're only going to raise it 5% or whatever. So when they do that, they're still short in reserves, right? So that's not going to solve the problem per se. It's going to solve some of the problem, but not the whole problem. Okay, so that's how you avoid getting into trouble. You avoid a lawsuit. Now, if the board raises the maintenance fee accordingly to what the reserve study stated, if they get sued, the people that sued aren't going to win because the board has a backing of a professional, right? Now, it's the other way around where the maintenance fees aren't raised high enough, and now there's no money to fix the building, and then the lawsuit is going to say the board members failed. They failed to do what was proper in increasing the maintenance fees. And a lot of times I hear board members go, hey, we're nice guys. We're really good to our unit owners. And we don't raise our maintenance fee that much, right? Because we got a lot of seniors living in the building. They can't handle a big increase. I had one client, well, it wasn't a client. It was, they called me up and they said, we want to talk to you about, fixing our building. I said, okay, that's fine. What's the situation with the reserve study? They go, yeah, we have the reserve study, but we decided not to follow it. And, we're nice board members. We haven't raised our maintenance fee for 3 years. And I'm like, that's not a good thing. And they said, well, why? I said, if your inflation is say 3% for discussion purposes, you don't raise your maintenance fee, you're not even keeping up with inflation. Are you telling me that there's components in your building that don't need to be fixed at all? They're like, no, that's not what I said. I said, well, something is wrong about this. You can't be nice guys. You have to do your job. If by virtue of being a board member, you have to raise the maintenance fee, and then the unit owners look upon you and go, hey, you're bad because you raised our maintenance fee. Well, that's your opinion, but actually we did the right thing. By law, we have to raise the maintenance fee to cover expenses, right? So that's the situation, and it has to be done. Board members have to do the right thing, even if it hurts, and it hurts the unit owners. I feel sorry for the unit owners too. We don't want to raise maintenance fee, but we have to because the costs, all the costs go up. Do you think that fixing a roof or your piping and all that is going to get any cheaper? No, as years go by, it's going to get more expensive. The cost of materials and the cost of labor, it's a known fact already. So if you're not raising your maintenance fees, you're already in trouble already, unless you have millions of dollars in the bank and you have 100% funding on your reserves. But that's rare, very rare. If there's a condo that does not need to raise their maintenance fee and you're 100% funded, I like to know, I like to see it, because that's almost impossible today. So that's the answer to that. What else we got?
Good answer on that one, Lance. And now I can understand why in this day and age, mortgages and maintenance fees are getting to be about the same amount. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, this next question I think you answered, but I'll ask you. It came in earlier. How can condo owners and board members protect themselves from potential lawsuits?
Oh, that's a similar question. I go back to like the beginning. The answer is you have to do your job as a board member. You have to follow what your condo governing documents state, and you have to follow what the condo law is, right? Whatever state you're in, you have to follow the condo law. The problem with the lawsuits is that the condo law is not being followed. So can you imagine, right? A unit owner getting upset and all that, and they hire an attorney. You know what the attorney is going to do? The attorney is going to ask the unit owner, I want all your correspondence, what you said, what they told you, letters you wrote, emails, texts, things like that. How many times you appeared at a board meeting and what you said. And then they're going to gather all that, right? And then they're going to look at the condo law and they're going to say, oh, on this section here of the condo law, the board didn't follow that because they didn't respond to you in a timely manner, or they didn't do this or that, right? And that's what the attorneys do. They're going to just pick it apart and they're going to make their whole list. And it's not funny to see the list. And what is the rebuttal? What is the defense that the board members are going to say as to why they're not guilty? What are they going to say? Well, I didn't fix the leak because we have no money. No, that's no excuse. I didn't fix the leak because we had a maintenance guy go and he determined that it wasn't a leak. That's not going to fly, because is the maintenance guy an expert? What's his qualification? So you gotta take a step back and look at the situation and see if somebody were to sue the board, is the board guilty? What is the board guilty of, right? And go and look at the law and make your own judgment. In fact, you know what? Another way to look at it is forget about what the condo law is. Okay, forget about it. Act like it doesn't exist. Use your common sense. If a unit owner comes to you and says there's a pothole and there's potholes, or we got concrete spalling and it looks like a piece of concrete's going to fall off our building, and you ignore the person, right? Is that common sense? Or you say, oh, we have no money, we can't fix it. Or, oh yeah, thanks for bringing it up. We know about that. It's on our to-do list. We're planning on fixing that next year. Okay, so, and the unit owner says, oh, okay, well, as long as they know about it. But if it's a leak, a water leak from a roof or a window or plumbing, you can't say, it's unacceptable for a board member to say, oh, we got it on the list to fix next year. Well, hello, we need to fix that like tomorrow, today, right? So use your common sense. If common sense dictates that there's a problem, you need to fix it, then that's what you do, right? You don't ignore the problem or act like there's no problem or come up with an answer saying, that's on our list to fix next year, or we have a board meeting, we're going to talk about it. And then when the board meeting time comes, there's no quorum, so that gets pushed back, right? Another month. So it's just not an acceptable excuse, some of these reasoning. It just doesn't make any sense. So anyway, what else we got?
Let's see, I get a couple more here that come in. What are the legal requirements for filing a lawsuit against a condo association or individual owner? Sounds like a legal question.
Well, you have to have standing. So if you're a unit owner, you have standing because you belong to the association, right? So you can sue if you're a unit owner. If you're not a unit owner, you can still sue, but then under what premise, right? You cannot, if you're a tenant, you can still sue the condo association, but it's a little harder. It's better to go through a unit owner to do that. So like I said before, anybody can sue anybody else for anything. It doesn't, we're not saying if it's a valid lawsuit or not, but that's what happens. But all the cases that I work on as an expert, it's valid. It's proven that there's a leak. It's proven that something happened and there was a failure of the board to take any action. And you believe me, you don't want to be dragged into this thing because it just goes on and it gets crazy. It, like, sometimes it takes a life of its own and just turns into a monster.
Okay, thanks, Lance. We get another one on our Zoom here that is asking, as board members, we count on our management company to provide timely and adequate response. What can be done if the required advice is not forthcoming by the management company? Oh, that sounds like a good question.
Well, that is a good question. I occasionally get more complaints than I want about condo board members and unit owners complaining about their management company. So here's what you do. You pull out the property management contract, and you look at what they're supposed to be doing, right? And you encourage them or force them to do their jobs if they're not doing it, right? Also, you got to be specific as to the understanding of what their roles are. Are you requiring the management company to do something that's not in their contract, or are you requiring to do that? Are you requiring them to do something that's their job, but they're not doing it? And or they're not responding to you in a timely manner, right? So you gotta communicate, make calls, send letters, and you just got to do that. It's like with any other vendor that you hire. If they're not doing their job, you have to let them know. And it doesn't only apply to the management company. It could be a contractor that the board hired. If they're not responding, communicating, you have to force them to do that. And I know it's difficult, right? But you just have to keep doing it until if you don't get any relief, then you got to go above that property manager and talk to the company owner or their boss or whoever. That's the only way it's going to happen. And it happens all the time. And I get the complaints too, right? I sit on 3 condo boards myself, and I hear complaints from other condo boards and complaints even within our own board about the management companies. But you just got to keep on them and don't give up. Okay, make them do their job. That's what they get paid for. Anything else? Did we check Facebook, see if anybody posted
Facebook
there?
we got, and you've kind of answered some there. Nothing new on Facebook. Zoom has been good today.
Okay.
What I guess we did have one other question here. Let me catch that one. It's what steps should be taken to resolve disputes and avoid litigation in the condo community? I mean, we probably touched on that question too. So
Yeah, well, I think that meeting, if can it be resolved at the board meeting, schedule a request to the board that they hold a special meeting to discuss these different things. It could be a town hall meeting, it could be a special meeting, or if you're on the board and there's too many complaints, then you can set up a meeting. And the last thing you want to do is, if you're on the board, is ignore unit owners. Even if you think that their complaints are ridiculous, communicate. And that's the only way. And if you can only go so far. And I'm aware of a condo where they actually wrote letters to their city council and state politicians because they're not getting any relief, and that stirred up some things. So we'll see what happens.
Very good. That's all I see, Lance. On
Okay.
our new system.
All right, so I want to thank everybody for attending. Hope you guys got some insight into these things. It's not really fun to talk about litigation and going to court and all that, but the problem is there, and the problem is not getting any better. It's getting worse because 5 years ago, there weren't too many unit owners suing their condo boards. 10 years ago, it was hardly any. 5 years ago, not much. Right now, I get calls from attorneys and unit owners saying, I have a problem and it's not getting resolved. And can you refer attorneys to me? Already, I know it's a bad situation, right? So I just kind of ask, what kind of problem are you having, and try to help them. So anyway, thank you guys for attending. If you're from Hawaii, you know what the condo laws are. If you're not, check the condo laws in your state. And it doesn't matter whether you're a board member, a realtor, property manager selling a condo unit, or you're a condo unit owner yourself, or you're a tenant that lives in a condo, or a contractor that works with condo buildings. It's pretty much all the same. So, do the right thing and stay out of trouble. So thank you guys for attending, and hope to see you at the next webinar. Aloha.
Aloha.